Animation is not a genre. And people keep saying, the animation genre. It's not a genre. A Western is a genre. Animation is an art form, and it can do any genre.
It's true that The Incredibles might be one of the best superhero films ever made, often labelled the best Fantastic Four movie. It's a massive leap for animation. It's Pixar at its best, and that's largely due to its director, Brad Bird. Today I want to take a look at The Incredibles, how the sum of its parts comes together to tell a great story. I want to explore how Brad tells stories and figure out if we can find a connection between these heroes and its director. Brad, for those unaware, is the creative genius behind The Iron Giant, Tomorrowland, My Favourite Mission Impossible, Ratatouille, and The Incredibles movies. He's one of the few directors that can operate in both live action and animation seamlessly, treating the animation medium with the same level of reverence and care as one would with shooting on set. To him, animation is just a tool that deserves the same cinematic treatment you'll find in any other movie, employing tracking shots, advanced editing, even simulating the depth of field you would find with using a specific lens. But where did this talent come from? Well, that's a story in and of itself. Bird made his life animation, from drawing sequential images at the age of 3 to interning at Disney at the ripe age of 13. It seems like he was destined for the medium.
I was 14.
The mentorship was not some program that Disney ran. It was just like, oh, here's this kid, we like him, he should hang around with us. You know? It's like the most bizarre thing. Where did that come from?
Brad was taught by Milt Kahl, one of the masters, the famous 9 old men of Disney.
An animator is you have to be part actor, part director, part storyman. You have to have a very good feeling for entertainment. What's entertainment and what isn't,
Considered the masters of animation, they were the ones to bring us Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, Bambi, Cinderella, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty, The Jungle Book, the list goes on and on and on.
This is a photograph of the 9 old men that was done for the Bob Thomas book that I read relentlessly. This is the first wing that I went into. This was called the Hall of Kings because all of the best Disney animators, many of the best animators were in this hallway. Milt's room was here. In my mind, the greatest animator on the planet.
They understood movement. They understood how that movement can suggest something about a character.
Milt was tough on me. He would always react initially spontaneously. And then he would kind of reset his body and okay, now I'm gonna go after you. And he'd flip it again, and now all of his critical things are, this pose doesn't really tell you about the character. Didn't even explore the possibilities. This drawing it's kind of weak. You're not pushing it.
This is something Brad employs with his films. Animation or not, he understands that every element can be suggestive.
No kicks!
The body can be angled this way with the shoulder up, but the head should be facing ego so that the body is working as a protective thing.
Sound, costuming, characterization can tell us something about a character.
It's all about character, and Bob is not Helen. He doesn't move like Helen. His mouth shapes won't be like Helen. His whole point of view in life is different than Helen. We can put that all in the animation.
This mentorship at Disney primed him for the career he would later have.
He wants animation to stop being at the kids' table.
Learning the lessons passed down by the masters and coming to odds with the animators that preceded them, feeling as though their philosophy on storytelling, on animation, was all wrong.
We were essentially trying to protect what the old guys taught us, trying to get the essence of emotion and not cleanliness of technique. It was about feeling the drawing and being rough and getting into the scene and and some wrestling it into being and exploring a lot.
That they didn't understand storytelling the way the 9 old men did.
When I entered the medium, old guys, not the masters, I clearly have to state, not the masters, the hacks. But the old hacks were saying, if you can do it in live action, you don't do it in animation. And I was like, well, congratulations, you've just made animation obsolete.
Fast forward many years, we arrive at The Incredibles, Brad's ultimate declaration that animation as a medium can be used to tell adult stories. The movie opens with a lawsuit, for Christ's sake. It's a movie that pushes the envelope in almost every aspect, whether it's in technical achievement regarding animation breakthroughs like hair simulation.
The big brain guys who run the simulator, the thing that makes the hair move, finally just sat across the table and said, well, John, I gotta tell you, long hair is theoretical at this point. Whoa, time out, theoretical? The movie comes out in less than a year.
Or pushing boundaries in regards to the subject matter of the film, what that content attempts to say. To be a superhero film that gives us what we would expect, something as iconic as saving a cat from a tree, and then flipping that notion on its head. That content I think we can come back to, but I think it's important to talk about PIXAR. PIXAR is known for its creativity. Its movies have scenes unlike anything else. 2 fish holding onto the inside of a whale tongue, a rat controlling a man to cook, ants creating a paper mache bird to scare off some grasshoppers, toys riding a remote control car down the street with a rocket attached to them. If you're telling me you've seen this in another movie before, you're lying. Because you haven't. What PIXAR understood is they had the limitless potential of animation. What Brad understood is he knew he could combine that limitless potential with his character-first attitude towards storytelling to give us superhero action. Scratch that, unique superhero action we've never seen before. Powers used in creative ways that inform us something about the character at the same time.
Brad has always said we have to have character-based action sequences.
Sometimes it's action that just cannot work in live action. This would look fucking stupid in live action, yet here it works. PIXAR is known for pushing the creative envelope, at least they used to be known for that. Sony is kind of doing that now. Anyways, they used to be at the forefront of that, however something that isn't given enough credit is their adherence to great story and character. PIXAR first asked us, what if toys could feel? Then they asked us, what if monsters could feel? Ants, cars, what if people could feel? The Incredibles was Pixar's first attempt at nailing people, and whilst the story is about a group of extraordinary people, there's still people at their core, making this just as much a family drama as it is a superhero epic.
What are you talking about?
The movie makes an effort to humanize these heroes in a way we don't usually get to see. They're shown to be fallible, far from the perfect ideal heroes are made to be. Bob reckons with living out the memories of his glory days, Helen struggles with keeping the family together, Violet is coming into her own amidst her awkward teenage years, as for Dash, he needs to focus on directing his energy that's placed him in trouble.
Coincidence? I think not!
In a way, it kinda makes sense why each character has such specific powers, almost as if they amplify what is being said about each character. Bob wants to uphold the image of being the strength of the household, fittingly having super strength. Helen's flexibility is used to literally keep the family together. Violet's invisibility and command over space shows her issues with adolescence and coming into her own. As for Dash, his powers represent the youthful energy of a young child. Even Jack-Jack's multitude of powers represents what it is to be a baby. A baby is potential. They're young. They can be anything. And so Jack-Jack is. Now of course, these characters grow beyond these struggles. Bob learns to confront how he's feeling. Helen learns to trust her family to pull their weight.
Counting on you? I'm counting on you. Be strong.
Violet comes into her own and gains a sense of confidence. Even Dash learns to direct his output. This transformation isn't made easy though. The characters throughout the movie are fallible. They make mistakes. They have moments of stress, fear, distrust.
Would you like to find out?
All of our characters' issues are amplified by the villain, Syndrome. Syndrome forces Bob to come to terms with how he feels. Bob's destructive desire to relive the glory days, seeing where that gets him.
You remember Gazerbee? Yeah, there was something about him in the paper. He had trouble adjusting to civilian life, too. Gazerbee.
Syndrome forces Helen to trust her kids to help.
It wasn't fair for me to suddenly ask so much of you. But things are different now. And doubt is a luxury we can't afford anymore, sweetie.
Syndrome forces Vi and Dash to come into their own, gain some autonomy over their powers as they're placed in a life and death situation. Syndrome couldn't have been a better antagonist. Everything he is, everything he represents perfectly aligns with these characters' struggles and the central theme of the movie, that of being incredible.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
Now, it's true that Syndrome's recollection of history might be questionable at best.
I have these rocket boots.
Go
They're
home,
made
buddy.
What?
Now.
And what did you say to me?
Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
However, he does make an interesting point about extraordinary people. The Incredibles' central theme is that of being incredible. Okay, that's a bit on the nose. Let's just say extraordinary.
Why can't I do the best that I can do? Right now, honey, the world just wants us to fit in, and to fit in, we just gotta be like everybody else.
It's about humanity wanting supers to be like everyone else, that people don't want exceptional people, they want mediocrity. They don't want a mirror being held up to their mediocrity, their fallibility.
They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity, but if someone is genuinely exceptional,
This is
then
not about you, Bob. Everyone's special, Dash.
Which is another way of saying no one is.
Naturally, that's difficult for our main character to deal with, a character literally called Mr. Incredible. To him, powers are not something to be ashamed of.
You must have been booking. How fast do you think you were
Bob,
going?
we are not encouraging this.
I'm not encouraging. I'm just asking how fast you
Honey!
But Dad always said our powers were nothing to be ashamed of.
To him, powers should be celebrated, which calls into his arc of wanting to relive the glory days rather than fall into the mediocrity of living his everyday life.
This is about Dash.
You want to do something for Dash? Then let him actually compete. Let him go out for sports.
I will not be made the enemy here. You know why we can't do that.
Because it'd be great!
This is not about you!
This movie is just so damn good, man. This conversation, there's just so many layers to it. You can feel the subtext. There's just so many good moments, scenes that may seem ordinary but are given a unique super spin to make them feel interesting and fresh. A tender moment or a dinner table argument. It's so interesting placing superheroes in everyday moments and seeing what comes of that.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I don't know, something amazing, I guess.
Now, I know courtrooms and office jobs isn't what you'd expect when you sign up to watch a superhero movie, but it adds this surprising layer of maturity that takes you off guard.
Someone was in trouble.
Someone's always in trouble.
Holy shit, dude, did I just hear that right?
We gotta pay to keep the company quiet. We gotta pay damages, erase memories, relocate your family. Every time it gets harder. Money, 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 money. We can't keep doing this, Bob.
That's heavy. It's moments like this that you don't pick up on as a kid, but upon rewatch, you just left gobsmacked. You don't really process the villain's defeat as a kid, but Syndrome was literally sucked into a jet. That's fucked.
April 23rd, 57. Cape caught in a jet turbine. No capes!
Now, these moments generally have punch because of Bird's ability to control tone, giving us a scene that seems playful, but as the scene unravels, we're hit with a level of severity, or vice versa. When Bob first arrives on Infinity Island, the scene is played with a level of seriousness. This is balanced then by Bob's inability to fit inside the capsule. Now, let's take a look at the opposite. This playful back and forth of Dash and Vi's infighting is contrasted against the very serious stakes presented only moments later. Dash isn't running amok like he was, he's scared, like a kid would be. I could go on. There's plenty of scenes that create for an active viewing experience. These switches intone surprise, aided by the fantastic editing. This scene, holy shit, you forget that it's animated. The cross-cutting, the panic, the fear, the stakes for the characters.
There are children aboard, say again, there are children aboard this.
No!
Put a field around us now!
It all works so well. The editing is just perfect. The way the music, story, and characters build as Bob uncovers Syndrome's plan and Helen uncovers Bob's whereabouts is also great too. A scene that crescendos in a rapid-fire panic to escape cut short. Who the fuck is editing this? This is awesome! I think standout scenes like these really highlight Bird's strength as a director, to give us these gorgeous shots, the colour, the promise of fun, and the whimsy, but also reel us in with the heart, tension, and genuine stakes for our characters.
It's all about character. It was about feeling the drawing and being rough and getting into the scene.
Bird is treating this, shooting this, if you can call it that, like a real movie, because to him, it is. If these characters are meant to feel real, then we need to shoot it with the same level of reverence and care we would with a live-action movie. Brad Bird tends to give us movies that are complete in the human experience. We experience joy and sadness, loneliness, pleasure, pride, and courage. His movies are never one note, they're full of character, beats that are capitalized on by fantastic editing, pacing, and movement.
The characters in any of the films that Brad's done, they're largely informed by Brad's experiences as a father.
it's a really personal film. The characters in the movie are like little slices of me at certain moments. And if they aren't me, there's someone I'm close to that I empathize with.
His movies, when distilled down, aim to hit at a core truth about ourselves, the human experience, that we have to grow beyond our fallible nature and aim to truly be exceptional. The Incredibles is the perfect distillation of this message, of aiming to be extraordinary. In a way, it's a reflection of Bird's own experience in the industry. Brad Bird is the extraordinary, and he is saying no to the hacks who don't want a mirror being held up to themselves, to say no to mediocrity, to aim to push the medium forward, to be incredible. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I had a hell of a lot of fun making this video. Brad to me is the director that I mostly identify with, so it was cool to do a deep dive on him. For my Illuminati subscribers on Patreon, there will be a new poll to decide which video I make next, so vote on that. With that being said, I want to thank Daniel, Ma, Christos, Screenspark, David, Draco, Alexis, Lance, Holland, William, Carson, Braden, Michael, Ziggy, Unlucky Dreamer, Julian, Fred, George, M. Rin, Shauna Darchi, Radiant, Luis, and Julian. I was thinking about doing a monthly hangout with a few of you guys who have been supporting me for a while, so let me know if you'd like that. I also just want to thank everyone else for taking the time to come this far. If you haven't seen my other deep dives, feel free to check out the channel. With that being said, I will see you guys in another video. Ciao.